I'm back, baby.
My home crypto mining farm is back in business. I have been super excited to make this video and share this crazy journey that it took over the last several weeks to get to where we are today, which is our crypto mining farm up and running. I'll be honest, it was rough missing out on a lot of these crypto mining yields on a lot of these coins, and I know that you guys feel the same way. And I didn't anticipate to have the farm back up and running so soon. I mean, I went and I showed you guys on some videos. I winterized the shed. I took all the miners out of it. I had them all packed up. I had them cleaned up, ready to go for whatever the moment would be that I'd be able to get everything powered back up. And I had no anticipation that we would have the farm back up so soon. So I'm going to run through the last 6 months of my electric bill and kind of the journey and how I got to where I am. And many of you may be able to relate based off of your situations. But if you just want to get to the facts of, all right, how much are you paying for electric? What does this look like? I'm going to leave a timestamp directly down below, and then you can just skip way ahead. But if you want to learn a little bit more about electric bills and about the journey I went through and the struggles and the monotonous hours of emails and phone calls with electric suppliers, stay tuned. Today's video is sponsored by the team over at NiceHash.com. NiceHash is the world's leading hash power marketplace and home to millions of GPU and ASIC miners selling their hash power instead of mining directly. Miners have been struggling to overcome high operating costs, like their monthly electric bills and low mining profits. The team at NiceHash has been working on a new way for miners to help boost profitability with a brand new twist. NiceHash is excited to announce the launch of a brand new solo mining concept called Catch the Block. Here's how it works. Step 1, create an account at nicehash.com. Step 2, visit the solo mining dashboard. Step 3, choose the package of choice. And finally, step 4, purchase that package and bam, you're done. Let the solo mining begin. Thanks again to the team over at NiceHash for sponsoring today's video. So first, let me explain what the electric bill looks like in Pennsylvania. And if you guys aren't familiar, every state does it differently, of course, right? Every state's different, programs are different, the way they bill is different, and Pennsylvania might not be like your situation, so make sure you look into it and try to understand your bill a little bit more. But in Pennsylvania, imagine two sides of a sphere. And on the right side is the delivery side. And you're going to see that here in a minute. I'm going to show you several of my electric bills. The right side's the delivery side. And I use a company called PPL. I can't change that. That's just, I'm locked into that, which a lot of you guys know how that is. I can't change the delivery side. That's the local electric company. But on the left side, Pennsylvania a few years ago voted to allow suppliers to actually be interchangeable and competitive, which is awesome. I mean, with having competition breeds not only a better quality of product, which at the end of the day doesn't matter here because it's literally just the supplier. Like, you're still served up the same electric bill from the same company in the exact same way. But what competition does breed, though, is it also breeds lower pricing. So up till, I'd say, the last 6 months, suppliers have really been competing for customers' business, and the rates have been crazy low on that left-hand side. So let me explain a little bit more. Let's take a look at some of these electric bills. All right, so we're going to journey back to like that June, July time period. And let's go through this a little bit. So as you guys can see on the screen, the dark blue area on that right-hand side, there's that delivery side, PPL. I can't change anything about that pricing whatsoever. As you guys can see, I actually copy and pasted the more detailed information in the upper right hand corner with that yellow line there. So delivery for me was at 4 cents. It's actually 0.43. And I was at that time back in June, July, I was at about 9,500 kilowatt hours. Now, for some of you guys, that's like crazy small. And for other of you guys, that's like, whoa, way out there. So kind of treat it with a grain of salt. But that is the right-hand side. And pretty much you can see that the right-hand side, there's some little charges they sneak in there, like a customer charge, and there's actually a tax cut Job Act like credit for $26. So I'm not going to complain. I'll take it. And then they have this really silly 0.031%, which is like 12 cents. So at the end of the day, the delivery side takes your usage, which is 9,529, and times it by that 4 cents. And that's how they come up with that $450. That's the right-hand side of my bill. Okay. Now let's talk about the left-hand side, because that is what really has allowed me to get my farm back up and running. And I'll explain more. Now keep in mind, this was back in June, July. So at that time, I was on a 12-month contract with a company named WGL Energy Services. And you could shop these. There's actually a website in Pennsylvania. Most states have these. Mine's called PA Power Switch, and you can go on there, put in your info, your zip code, and it tells you all the suppliers. To give you an idea, Pennsylvania, I think there's like 25 to 30 different electric suppliers out there. So I called everyone and I looked at everyone's website over the last several months. It's been crazy. But I was on a 12-month contract, and come August, when this bill finished up, my contract ended with WGL, and I found the gold right there. So this was, as you can imagine, several months back, but I was on a 12-month contract, and it was beautiful. It was an unlimited plan for $69.99, and there was no questions asked. It was just like you want to sign up with us for a supplier? No problem. Unlimited electric, $69.99. Now, for most consumers, this made sense, and the WGL made out, and it was good. You know, it wasn't anything crazy. But for me, as a home crypto miner, I was going to abuse the hell out of it. So as you can imagine, if I didn't shop my supplier at all, take a look on the left-hand side there. PPL utilities price to compare, 12 cents. So if I just never looked at my electric bill and really dug into it, I would have been charged 12 cents for the exact same amount of kilowatt hours. So not only did PPL kind of get their cut of it, taking the 9,529 kilowatt hours, timesing it by 4 cents, and I was already paying them, PPL then wanted to charge again, because why not? Because electric utilities are pure insanity and they're robbery. And they were going to do 12 cents. So if I bring up a calculator real quick here and show you guys, if I just didn't shop my electric, it would have been the 9,529 times the 12 cents. Like, my electric bill would have been through the roof at that point in time, because it literally would have cost me almost $1,200, and I was paying $69. And this type of plan, they call it there's all different companies out there. Unlimited plan, subscription plan. There's all different companies out there. They call it all different things. But as you can see, this is how I made out. And I did this for over a year. Well, August came and they wouldn't let me sign back up. They were like, hey, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for this. You use too much electric. We can't have you on this plan. Like, we can't re-up and renew. And it was completely understandable. But what I wasn't ready for was the challenges ahead with what the market looked like now after a year of really abusing this and not really knowing what was really reality for what to pay. So what I did was I found another one of these companies that did this unlimited electric rate, but this was now a year after like I'd originally looked into it. And here we are. So the next month I went ahead and I found a company named Inspire, and they did the whole unlimited electric, but for $71.99. And what they did differently than the WGL company is there wasn't a 12-month contract. And they put you on a trial for 2 months, which now that I look back, it was just a way to hook you in and then kind of rob you on the 3rd month. So let's go over the right side a little bit. We're not going to go as much into detail. My electric went up 96.03. And then you can see up top there, all the calculations ended up being $403, where I ended up being when it came down to what my delivery cost was. So that really didn't change. But on the left-hand side, the $71.99. So for me, let's say I'll call this month 13 after the 12-month contract, and month 13, it it wasn't too bad, right? And they had said, hey, we'll just, the way their wording was on their website was very much like we'll analyze your usage during your 2-month trial period, only charge you $71.99, and then we'll let you know what we're going to charge you month 3 through 12 for them. So let's jump ahead to the next month and see what happened. So the next month, it was $79.99, which I wasn't really going to complain with. I was like, cool, great, sounds good. My electric rate actually went down a little bit, like the total amount of kilowatt hours to 96 or 86.62. The right side bumped a little bit. It was like a 0.43. Now we're up to 0.45. So not a huge deal, right? Like, I'm not going to complain. And the left side, we still looked pretty good. So we're now into month 2, and month 3 is where it gets really interesting on Inspire, which would have been 13, 14, 15 months. So let's take a look at month 3. All right, so month 3 hits, and wow, we're talking a huge reality check here. So on the right-hand side, let's look at the cost. It was 0.466. So we've gone up a tiny bit, but very minuscule, right? I mean, we went from like $405 a month to $470, but our usage went up, and we were running our S19J Pro full bore, and we were at 10,361 kilowatt hours on that right-hand side. You follow me so far? So not too bad on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side, Inspire comes back and goes, based off of using that type of usage, we can give you an unlimited rate per month of $584. And I was like, what? What? Like, there's not a chance of $1,000 a month when mining really wasn't profitable anymore. And this wasn't too far back. I mean, look at that, September, October. This was not that far back. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. And up to this point, I wasn't cashing out any crypto to cover anything. I was floating that $400 electric bill because it wasn't that bad. But now we're talking $1,000 a month to crypto mine. And even then, this was still a good price. And you're like, wait, what? $1,000? Well, look, if I bring up my handy dandy calculator again, if I stayed with my current electric delivery company, but for supply, because look, they even give you a price to compare. So it literally, I would have had to have taken on the left-hand side, 10,361, and then times it by the 12,366. $1,200 alone on the left-hand side, plus another $470. So let's round that up to 5. It's like 5, 6, 7, $1,700 a month. And we're like not even in the bull run. It was like, oh my God. Like, I'm fortunate that it's only $1,000 and not $1,700, but this isn't going to work. So I was like, we're powering down. Like, no, we're not doing this. And that's when I released my video talking about, like, we got to power down. Like, we can't float this anymore. So now let's find out what we do next. So to show you guys real quick, this is Inspire's website. And on Inspire, it's inspirecleanenergy.com. I don't know where all they're located, but they're at least in Pennsylvania. Like, you can go on their website, fill out your address. This isn't my address, but it's in Pennsylvania. And they'll give you options. And look at that top one, 13.69, like, holy cow. But look at the bottom one. They have these unlimited plans. And this one says $49.99 a month, 12-month initial contract term. But if you read the fine print, that $49.99 is like the first 2 months. And then they gauge what I found out, and you'll learn in a second, I found out Inspire just looks at your 12-month history and then determines an average, and then it gives you a price. That $49.99 is just to rope you in. It is a complete con. But anyways, after my $1,000 bill, I needed to find another company that offers unlimited rates. And I found one. There's only 3 total. WGL, which they wouldn't let me back on. Inspire, which month 3 had crazy pricing. And now a company named Santana Energy Services. And they had an unlimited energy plan. And it looked beautiful. Literally, I called up and talked to these people, and I was like, yeah, acted very innocent, like, I'm shopping electric, and I see that you guys have an unlimited plan. Can you tell me about it? And they're like, yeah, it's You know, I think it was like $59.99 a month, $59.99 a month. There's no contract with it, and it's unlimited electric. And they go, so I'm like, okay, what do you need from me? Like, and it literally, I was set up within like an hour, like of the original conversation, and they had to do all these recordings, like legal recordings that they do, which other companies have done. We're like, do you agree to this? And blah, 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 blah. And they said one thing during that conversation, and I could have gone back to them about it and requested the recording. And it said, you will not use more than 125% of your annual average. And that really stuck out to me because I was like, oh, I'm not going to use more than 125% of what I'm already using. This is awesome. Long story short, we were on Santana. We found this company. We signed up. Bam. I jumped to them in a heartbeat. There was no trial period. There was no like, we're going to look at your energy usage for 12 months. It was just a $59.99. That was it. Well, I got a phone call about 2 weeks into swapping to them at like 8 o'clock at night from a woman from Santana. And she was like, so we can't allow you on this plan. She was like, you use way too much electricity and we just can't allow it. We have to kick you off. But there's no like contract. There's no nothing. Like, that's how they get away with this. And I said, well, why? Like, what's going on? They're like, well, you use more than 125% of the annual average based off of your home's like size and stuff. And I was like, wait, I even said on the phone, I'm like, when I did this, the woman told me 125% of my annual usage, not like comparable and so, but anyways, I was like, all right, fine. Like, I really should have fought it because looking back now, it would have been well worth it. But at this point too, like, I still had the farm powered off in one way or another, but like a few odd and ends on to like heat the house and stuff like that. But they just went and looked at my 12-month history. So like, they let me on the plan for 2 weeks and then they were just like, hell no, and kicked me off. So let's look at this bill because this bill's really weird. All right. If I still got you, awesome. Hopefully you guys aren't asleep yet. But this bill was odd because like it was like between periods of the farm being off and on and having additional hardware. And so it was at 10,400 kilowatt hours. So I still had some of the farm on at that point. I'm trying to remember back on like timeline and stuff like that. And my electric rate was 4.667. And it was 475, right? But on the left-hand side, this is where it gets really weird. And this is why I copy and pasted some stuff bottom left. So you can see October 24th to the 2nd, I was with Inspire. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I have to change. So they still billed me for $175.50 for that like short time period, like a week, which is crazy. But that's like a 1 week out of 4 weeks where it was $580. And then you can see that's why it says Supplier continued. Santana then just billed me $100 for like that remainder of that time period. So that's how you get to this weird like $275.50. So this bill had like multiple companies on it and it ended up being a mess and it didn't really work out. And so now when I get to this point, I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Like, I was on WGL for all that time. I got on Inspire, then it was a crazy price. Jumped to Santana, thought that was my like saving grace. And it was like, what do I do? Like, this is craziness. And I think I'm going to make a correction just mid time period. I think this is when I decided like to power off. Not that time period back. That was definitely a reality check of like, I need to find something. But this is when actually, so correction, not even going to edit it. We'll just keep rolling. This is when I decided I need to power off because I'm like, what options do I have? Like, I got to be smart about this. So I had this idea. I went back to Inspire, right? So I knew that like Inspire had these trial periods. So I could sign back up on Inspire's website. And I don't know if that was a fluke and go through the whole like 2-month trial all over again. So I was like, ooh, can I beat the system? So this was my first month with Inspire. And you guys can see my electric rate is crazy low. I went from like 10,000 down to 3,800. And this is when I had a few things in my shed and stuff, like very few things. Like I had some mini ASICs around the house to heat the house. I had on like my two cousins' GPU rigs, and that was like it type of deal. But you can see it's reflected. My delivery size down to $184. This is like more in tune with like normal households, but still high. Like Normal households are even lower. But it wasn't bad. And Inspire, I was on like, it was like $80.99, whatever they're throwing at me. I didn't care. I was like, I'll take it. And it was a trial period again. And I was like, all right, we'll do the trial period again. And where my head was, because I didn't know what I know now, was like, they want everything on their emails and on their discussions, like, we will analyze your usage and get back to you. And to me, I was like, okay, well then I'm going to power off as much as I need to. Let me run at 3,800 kilowatt hours. And then my bill will be low. And then I'll hit them with like a 12-month contract. Like I'll ask them for a 12-month contract. They'll lock me in. And then I can go to town and power up the farm. So that's what we tried to do month one. And you can see the even electric on the left-hand side's bumped up. It's no longer 12 cents. It's now 14 cents if I went with the PPL comparison. So this is where it gets really crazy. So month one finishes and I get like a week into month two and I get an email from Inspire and it's like, hey, we finished analyzing your rate. And I'm like, damn, like I didn't even do the second month, but okay, cool. Like I'll take it. Hopefully it's low. And it comes back and literally in an email from them says $79.99 through like January of 2024. And I was ecstatic. I was like, I beat the system. Like, heck yeah, let's do it. But I was like, I need to cover my ass after what happened with Santana. And I was on it for 2 weeks and they kicked me right off. So I emailed back on that email. This was just like a generic, like, email that gets fired off, like an automated email, not really generic, automated. And I fired back to this like sales email account. It was like, hey, I'm excited. I kind of act a little bit innocent and a little confused. And I was like, hey, looks like it says $79.99 a month. I'm excited. Awesome. I can't wait to get started with Inspire. I said, I had a few questions. And like my first question was, is my price $79.99 based off this email? That's what it says, but I want to be sure. Makes sense, right? Just kind of putting on my lawyer hat a little bit. And then number two, my question was, it starts on this date. And the same thing the email said, January, something like 28th, 2023. And then I said the third question, this rate of $79.99 ends on this date, which was a year out. Like I put it on there, just kind of asking all these questions type of deal. And then like my fourth question was like, if my electric usage goes down or it goes up more than it does now, does my price still stay at $79.99? And then my last question I put was, what would make me not eligible for this unlimited plan with Inspire? So like a week goes by and I get like an email and it's like, hey, thank you for reaching out. And this was like during like the holidays, so they weren't really available or anything like that. And I was okay with that. And then I emailed again because I'm like, hey, trying to figure out what's going on. Like just want to get my questions answered, trying to act like that innocent consumer. And somebody emails me back and they responded to my questions, but my first question where I asked like, hey, confirming the price is $79.99, they were like, nope, your price is $569. And I'm like, wait, what? You just told me it was $79.99. Now you're correcting it like a week later or whatever. And then they just answered like, yes, it's going to be on this date, but it's not 79, it's 569. Yes, it doesn't end here, blah, blah. And like, so they answered everything, but at the $569 price. And so of course I respond back. And I'm like, what is going on? I got this email that says $79.99. Why are you telling me it's $569? Like, we're not even on the same planet anymore. 2 weeks go by. And I've emailed like once a week, like looking for answers. What's going on? Like, this is my money we're talking about. I get an email from a manager and it's like, we're sorry. Our system automatically emailed out the wrong pricing for the $79.99. Your pricing is $569. And I'm like, what? But now I've been with Inspire for that like quote second month of this trial for like over a month now. And it's like, well, is that what you guys are going to charge me? And so they actually are. I haven't received it yet. They're cutting me a check to cover that time period. So that part of my bill will be free, which is awesome. They're going to cover it entirely because of the whole mistake and also dragging me along for weeks at a time. But then it comes down to like, well, what now? What do we do? So I decided to play that angry consumer and really complain about like, hey, I want that $79.99 price and blah, blah, blah. And so another manager comes back to me. We're going back and forth with emails, back and forth. And I just want to get this locked down. And finally, the second manager comes back and is like, hey, we can do 409. I'm like, all right, can we make this work? Like, if I lock in that price, I can lock it in for 12 months. Won't change. Doesn't matter how much or how little or how much electric I use. It's locked in. And that's it. And so I kind of went back. I played the game, guys. And I said, I can't do 409, but I can do 309. And I kind of played the, like, based off the mistake you guys made, and you're a manager, can you make that exception? And then I didn't hear anything for another week. And this was weeks going on. So, by the way, if you guys are still here, thank you for story time with the hobbyist miner. So finally they came back and they said, and you could tell it was a line in the sand with them. It was like, we can't do 309. And they're like, the 409 price isn't even available anymore. They're like, prices are rising almost every 20 minutes. Like, they said, like, that means my price with them had changed almost four times since I started talking with them, which is crazy. Because I called and talked with them. And they're like, literally, we get pricing that's just automated. And it's just back and forth. They said, literally, prices just keep going up. And there's no controls in place. So they were like, right now we have 449. They're like, it's locked on your account. It's like, we can't even do anything. And I talked to multiple managers about it. They're like, we have no access or say to it. But they're like, we can do 449. And I was like, okay. So we're doing 449 on one side. We got 4 high 4s on the other. And I'm like, all right, can I make this work? And if I can, how much electric do I need to use to really abuse this and almost equal a low electric rate, if that makes sense? So my wheels got turning. I put on my 𝐓𝐫𝐻𝐿 hat and we did a spreadsheet. All right, so welcome to the 𝐓𝐫𝐻𝐿 spreadsheet here. It's not really that complicated, so let's go through it. So the left column is my electric, how many kilowatt hours I'm using. So at the top's 3,000, right? At the bottom's 20,000. Column B, the blue area, that's actually the right side of my bill, if that makes sense. And you can see that this is the current electric rate. That right side of that bill is at 4 cents. So if you take your 4 cents times the kilowatt hours used, that's how this column here is being populated. So at 3,000 watts, it's only $140. But at 20,000 watts, even at 4 cents, it's still at $933.40. Now, they have this silly customer charge. This is just BS in politics. Flat $16.01. Really dumb. Then we have this Tax Cut and Jobs Act credit. I don't know what it is, but I don't really care. I'll take it. $28.95. And then you have this PA tax adjustment surcharge. This is like that 0.0031%. So that's a percent of that bill there. And so that's how that comes out to be. So that's my right side of my bill. But now let's talk about this left side. So this is where the company �спire we worked with, �spire supply cost, unlimited plan, doesn't matter how many or how little electric I use, it's still $449. So let's give our total here. Operating costs is how I'm viewing this. At 3,000 kilowatt hours, if I went with this plan, my bill would be $576.11, which would mean my kilowatt hours, because all you're doing, guys, is, and I'll show that to you real quick, to calculate this, all I'm doing is taking my total cost, 576, so whatever my bill is, and dividing it by the amount of kilowatt hours I'm using total. And there's my 19, okay? So now follow along with me here. As I increase my electric usage, my total cost increases because my blue area is increasing. But my green area now, this is that left side of that bill, stays exactly the same. So as you imagine, you know how we talked about the math to determine our kilowatt hours here on the far right? It's our total cost divided by our kilowatt hours used. take a look at this trend. As I use more electric on the far left, my rate changes and actually gets pretty drastically. So from red to orange to green. So the red area is 10 cents and above. Orange is below it at 9 cents. So I really hit that point of 9 cents at 10,000 kilowatt hours. And then I get down to the yellow, which is at 8 cents, which at 8 cents is a really hard wall to break down here. And then you really don't actually see the true value till you get to 7 cents, but that's 16,000 kilowatt hours. Now, my shed, let's talk about my shed and how much electric I have in there and if I can do this. Okay, so in my shed, I have 3 30 amp 240 volts. So we're going to do 30 amp times 240. That's going to give me 7,200 watts. Now, times 3, because I have 3 of those, that's 21,600 watts I have in my shed. I have a 200 amp panel at my house. I don't have any sub panels or anything like that because the shed is very close to that side of the garage. So I ran everything to the panel. You can't use the entire circuit. You actually need to times that by 80% because that's the 80-20 rule. So 17,280 watts I can handle safely in my shed. Now, we need to hit 16,000 kilowatt hours to hit that 7 cent mark. So that means that I can keep mining, and that's my plan to keep mining, but we're going to be floating an $1,100 electric bill per month. That's a lot. So what does that mean? That means that I can mine with 16,000 kilowatt hours or more, and it's going to be expensive, but it gives me a target to focus on saying, okay, for $1,100, say $1,200, we'll round it up. So now, remember we were at like 1,055 at one point, but that wasn't at this many, that was like months ago where our bill was like a big shocker and stuff. But now that I've had a chance to digest this and actually do some of this math, which I wish I would have done previously, and I encourage you guys to go do something like this. I'll link this spreadsheet. Now, yours might be a little bit different, so you really got to review yours. And if you want help, hit me up on Discord. I'll review yours with you. We can kind of explain it and talk about it. But this allows me, and I actually sat down with my wife to go through this because I wanted a second set of eyes that is looking at the money side of it, that has no attachment to like the crypto side of this. And so I sat down with my wife, and she's understand the value of crypto. It's paid for a lot. It's paid for my entire basement renovations over the last 2 years. But my wife and I really talked about it, and it was like, for $1,200 a month, I can pretty much mine as much as I want. You know, like 16,000 kilowatt hours is a lot for a home crypto miner, but we can do it. And I will have the hardware here soon. We've got some hardware coming on the way, quite a few ASICs and mini ASICs and such. But we are, my wife and I say we, because we plan to mine during this time period, put out the $1,200 a month with the thought of yielding enough crypto so that when I come out the other side of this, whenever the next bull run is, if it's 2024 or 2025, that we'll have a significant amount of cryptocurrency held by then. So this is a risk though. This is $1,200 a month, well over 12, 13, 14, 6, almost $16,000 a year in electric. Holy shit, that's expensive. But I'm hoping to do it. And I gotta be honest, I gotta thank you guys for it. So my wife and I crunched the numbers and we looked at it with YouTube, content creation, this whole thing, whatever you want to call this, we can afford it. We can afford it because of you guys. So my farm's coming back up. You guys saw some clips of it, some videos of it more recently. I did some live streams. Those were a lot of fun, like kind of undoing my winterization, getting things back in place. But it's because of you. So like, this isn't anything magical that I figured out. I don't know that this is feasible for most people. But thank you. That's really what I spent the last, I don't know how long this video is, who knows by now, but just going back to you guys, like, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. This is literally investing in the future. Like, my wife and I even talked about, like, we have so much faith in crypto in the near future, it's like 3 years or less, that it will take off again, that we will have another bull run, that we're willing to invest now. Because we could take that $1,200 a month and put that towards lots of other things, but we're deciding to put it towards our electric bill so that we can stack and stack and stack and hodl and not sell that cryptocurrency. So that's it, guys. That's how we got to this point. Very long-winded. Sorry, not sorry, but a lot to talk about. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I talked about a lot. Leave comments down below. Maybe call me crazy, honestly. Maybe call me stupid. I don't know. That's what I'm here for, right? I'm just a YouTube entertainer at the end of the day. But if you guys enjoyed the video, I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave comments down below, anywhere and everywhere. That you liked it, you hate it, it's dumb, it's stupid. Leave the comments down below. I would appreciate it. But if you enjoyed this video, give it one of these. And if you're brand new and you're just stumbling across my channel and you listen through all of my ramblings and you still like what you heard, click that subscribe button. I definitely would appreciate it. Take care.
Over the last 12 months, I've been working with a handful of designers on a special project, and I'm excited to announce that that project is now live. Let me introduce you to a new apparel web store, hobbyistminers.store, hardware merch for enthusiasts just like you and I. Working with a few designers, we decided to launch the store with 17 unique NVIDIA Founders Edition graphics card designs. These designs are all custom made, unique, and one of a kind. What's your favorite Founders Edition? Was it the GTX 1080 Ti? Or maybe the RTX 2080? We can't forget about the RTX 3060 Ti, or how about everyone's favorite, the RTX 3070? So what's different about hobbyistminers.store? Well, every 3 months, these designs will be decommissioned and gone forever, making them a limited time run. But no fear, every 3 months, brand new designs will be released of your favorite graphics cards. To give you an idea, hobbyistminers.store has 68 designs in reserve to be released over the next 12 months. Go check out hobbyistminers.store today and their winter collection, only for sale until March 31st. Then they're gone. But no fear, the spring collection is standing by. Go check it out, www.hobbyistminers.store.